prix Nobel de la paix, qui est également avec nous pour toute la durée de cette conférence. Now I am going to switch to English, even though I know that sometimes it's a bit funny for translators who are native English or native French to translate a Frenchman speaking English into French. But I would like to say a few words in English about the substance of this conference. The subject matter of the World Policy Conference is global governance. And in my judgment, there is no subject as important as this one, not only for our immediate circumstances, but in my judgment for many years ahead, and if not decades. I will stress 3 points. The first point is that globalization means more and more interdependence, but more and more interdependence means also more and more complexity. And with complexity comes uncertainty. The characteristic of complexity is that very small causes can have immense repercussions all over a system, and these repercussions are fundamentally unpredictable. And this year, we have seen that in the case of the so-called Arab Spring that we will discuss in depth later this afternoon. It starts with a poor man who commits suicide in the middle of Tunisia, in the center of Tunisia, and it ends up with a global destabilization of a whole critical region. And as of today, we don't know what the ultimate consequences of this destabilization are going to be. To take a second example, in the economic realm, when a bubble bursts out, it's something which is fundamentally unpredictable as far as the date, the particular circumstances are concerned. And the bursting of bubbles can lead to situations such as the present one, that is putting at risk the whole of the European Union. And if the European Union were to start to dismantle, that could be a major destabilization for the whole world. So this concept, this problem of complexity is a major one. But, and by the way, for economists, that should lead them to be much more humble than they used to be. Because not so long ago, most economists, Nobel Prize winners and so on and so forth, thought that they had resolved the basic problem of economic policy. It's not the case. My second point is that because of this growing uncertainty, governance is essential. Without governance, a system, a highly interdependent system, is likely to explode. Now, the current governance organization is extremely weak. G8, G20 are weak organizations. And not only are they weak, but they are relatively poor, both in terms of efficiency and in terms of legitimacy. This is what we have to work on. We know that the balance of power all over the world has shifted in the direction of the emerging countries. And by the way, talking about emerging countries, I don't have only the BRICS. I would rather mention the BRICS with a T at the end, T for Turkey. I think Turkey is too often neglected when we talk about the emerging powers. Turkey, and I say that because we are going to listen to President Gül in a few minutes, Turkey is, I think, today a major country, not only in the Middle East at large, but in the world. At the same time, it is also true that the diminishing leadership of the West has not so far been replaced. And certainly not by the country like China. For instance, China has not in his own history and experience of world matters of leadership at a global level. And I think China is much more today concentrated in its own affairs and development. So there is a huge leadership gap, and this is part, I think, of our problem of global governance. So how to shape more sustainable global governance is a key in that respect, and paradoxically today I would say that the experience of the European Union is an experience very much worth discussing as a role model possibly for the whole world. And I say that at the very day where there is extremely high uncertainty because of the outcome of the European Council meeting. We will discuss that later on. My third and last point is to stress the importance of values. Values is a fundamental subject. The world is not homogeneous. We have different cultures, different religions, traditions, religious traditions, and we have different kinds of experiences. But this is, I think, it should be seen as a source of wealth, not as a source of difficulty. But at the same time, we are not accustomed, to work in a cooperative way with countries with highly different values and no countries pretending to prevail on the others. So there is a great deal to be learned also from that viewpoint. And I will conclude in expressing a wish. There is the famous declaration, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I dare to say here that in my judgment, the Declaration of Human Rights, Universal Human Rights is not universal. It is not universal just because of the way it was drafted, and it is not universal also because the cultures and traditions of non-Western countries were not enough taken into account when the declaration was drafted. So I would like to express the wish that at some point we should draft a declaration of universal values. And it seems to me that in all major traditions, including religious traditions, it should not be so difficult to identify really common values such as human dignity, or perhaps even something like consentment, that is the fact that people should not be forced to act in a way which they do not accept themselves and for themselves. And maybe the World Policy Conference at some stage could be used as an instrument, in an instrumental way, to launch the drafting of such a declaration of universal values. And that would probably be the best condition for developing in a sustainable way a new global governance system. Now, it's my pleasure and honor to invite President Heinz Fischer to give his speech, introductory speech, after which I will call President Gül. Thank you very much for your attention.